Greetings, Earthlings. My name is Bandrew, and sometimes I have really stupid ideas. This is one of those ideas. Today, we're recording a podcast to tape. For this experiment, which I actually recorded over a year ago, I am going to be running the Shure SM7B into a fethead, then into the Rupert Neve Portico 5017, then into the Yamaha MG10XU, and lastly, that will be run into the Tascam Porta 02. Now, as I just mentioned, we are using the Tascam Ministudio Porta 02, which is a cassette-based 4-track recorder, and we will need a cassette to record to. And there are 4 different types of cassettes. I have seen them listed as type 0, 1, 2, and 4, and elsewhere I have seen them listed as type 1, 2, 3, and 4. All of these cassettes are made of different materials, and therefore they have a different signal-to-noise ratio, and I learned this the hard way by buying a Type 4 cassette, which is supposed to have the best signal-to-noise ratio, only then to read the manual from the Porta 02 and find out that it only works with Type 2 cassettes, and I suppose that will give us a little bit more of that cassette noise and cassette charm and maybe cassette saturation, if that's a thing. Now, a very brief history of these home studio 4-track recorders. They were first released by Tascam, which is a division of TIAC, and the first model was the TIAC 144, which was released in 1979 at AES, or the Audio Engineering Society. And Tascam continued to make these devices all the way up through the 80s, 90s, and even the early 2000s, but now they have moved away from the cassette-based 4-track recorders and have gone to digital multi-track recorders. Now let's talk about how one of these devices is able to give you 4 individual tracks on a cassette tape. Well, a standard cassette actually has 4 tracks on it, but they're not typically all used at the same time. Only 2 tracks are played back at once in most cases, and this is because a tape has to have 2 sides to it. With a standard commercial cassette, you have side 1, which has a stereo pair of tracks making up track 1 and 2, and then on side 2, or side B, you also have a set of stereo tracks, which will make up tracks 3 and 4. So in a standard cassette deck, the playhead will only cover 2 of the tracks, which is why you have to flip a tape over in the deck to play the second side. But then you have these 4-track home studio recorders, which have playheads that will allow you to play back or record all 4 tracks that are on the cassette. And I do want to note that since you are recording all 4 tracks and the playheads access all 4 of those tracks, you can only use one side of the cassette. You don't get side A and B. Now let's go ahead and rewind about 4 years to the time when I was actually recording this. We're going to connect the line output from the Neve and run that over XLR to 1/4 inch into the Yamaha. Then I'm going to run the stereo 1/4 inch outputs from the Yamaha into line 1 and line 2 of the Tascam. What do we do now? We need to connect a microphone. Ow. Oh, shit. Are we still good? That sucks, a big bag of dongs. So we're running the Shure SM7B, obviously over XLR to XLR. Okay, keep the headphones off while I'm powering everything on. Don't want to blow my ears out. Hello. Okay, not getting any signal. Probably because we don't have phantom power turned on. So we have this on, not getting any levels. That's a problem. Oh, you know what? I went this route before. And now we are getting levels. Actually, let's go ahead and do a very quick recording, and then I'll show you how I'm going to transfer this over to the computer. So this is how the voice sounds, running through the Neve to the Yamaha MG10XU, then into the Porta Studio. So here's how we're going to copy the files over. I got RCA to RCA cables. I'm going to run line output from the back of the Tascam. into channels 5 and 6 on the Yamaha MG10XU. And when I am transferring this, I am going to mute all the other tracks so there's no other interference. And here you can see me playing the tape back and recording the MG10XU in an audio hijack session to capture the audio digitally and get that ready to edit in my nonlinear editor. Right here, I am using Auphonic leveling software to set the level of the tape cassette recording to -15 LUFS to ensure that the podcast is at a decent level. I am not doing any noise removal or processing or compression. It has all of the imperfections of the cassette. This is just to get it at a normalized level. I better get started recording this because it's 11 a.m. and it's going to take exponentially more time to get this done because I have to capture the cassette in real time. I can't say, okay, go ahead and bounce it. I have to wait for this to play back all the way through. And I'm going to start with a new tape. So let's go ahead and do that first. No wonder tapes just stopped being popular. They're nightmares to open. Now right here is where I really started to run into a problem. I imported my audio to Final Cut Pro, dropped it into my multicam file, and then I realized that there was quite a bit of drift on this recording, and that's likely because the playback speed of this cassette deck is nowhere near as consistent or reliable as a computer's internal clock. Then in order to resolve that issue, I would have to chop the audio every minute or two and then resync it. So it got to be a little bit tedious and it is not perfectly in sync, but that's what I get for using a cassette deck to record a podcast and try to sync it to video. That idiot sucks at PUBG or something. I dressed up like the main character, which is a woman. Just a really fun video for me to make, and I was so excited to do that. Do you even podcast? Why are you reviewing microphones? You don't even use them in the real world. I think that's important as a podcaster. I don't think enough people practice. I think people just jump on a microphone and say, "Oh my God." So in conclusion, the audio quality that we got from recording our podcast direct to tape was about as bad as you would expect. It was noisy, it was dark, it was overdriven sounding, but to be fair, I thought the intro music had this added level of charm and character to it by running it through the cassette, adding that noise, adding that cassette compression, if that's even a thing. I just thought it sounded really cool. And I honestly think that's why we still see some artists today releasing their albums on cassette, because it does have this character that is completely lost. You can't even properly emulate it with a plugin. And by releasing that music on cassette, it's reintroducing that character, and that character is becoming a part of the music. But if you're considering picking up one of these 4-track cassette recorders to record your podcast to, or record audio for a video to, please reconsider. Digital recording has come so far, it sounds exponentially better, and it is so much easier to work with because it records at a consistent rate, and you don't have to worry about playback speed or your audio drifting. But that was a really fun experiment for me to do, and I hope you enjoyed that half as much as I did. I know it's not logical, it's not something anybody is going to do, it's just something I was curious about. So there you have it. That is what happens when you record your podcast to tape. If you're wondering why I look so much worse, so much more rotund than I did in the initial portion of this video, it's because I just stumbled across this video project a year after I started it. Completely forgot I did that. I thought I would record an outro and put this out at the beginning of 2020 as a way to start off the year. If you do want to hear the entire podcast that was recorded to cassette, I will link that in the upper corner, and I will also have a link to the podcast that was recorded directly to my computer so you can hear the real differences between them. And before I sign off, just a quick announcement to everybody who is still watching. You may want to head over to podcastage.com/giveaways, and you might be able to enter to win some free stuff. If you found this video fun, interesting, or helpful, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you hated it, give me a big old thumbs down. If you want more videos like this, go ahead and subscribe by clicking that Podcastage logo beneath me. And if you want to support the channel and become one of these amazing people over here, you can do so by clicking that join button and joining at the $5 tier or higher. It really does help me continue to bring you these videos and keep me motivated, and I appreciate each and every one of you so dang much. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.